Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I gotta tell you, I'm pretty excited today. I'm on a new body of water. I dropped the kids off with the boat in tow. Made a pretty good drive to get here. I've heard good things about it, but don't know anything about the lake. Pulled up, put the boat in the water, and took a quick look around, and I see a power fisherman's dream body of water. Lots of pads, lots of wood, stumps, all kinds of stuff. So I figured I would give this guy a try right here. This is the Picasso Circuit Shaker Pro. This is the heavy cover titanium wire. So a couple things I want to point out about this bait. The first is it is weedless. So this is a vibrating jig, and hopefully you guys can see these two titanium wires, so it allows you to bring it through cover. Love that for fishing around stumps and laydowns. And then it's also got the circuit board lip here, and this pretty much disappears in the water, so you don't get the shine, the flash that you get from a lot of different vibrating jigs. You still get the same vibration, you just don't, it blends in better with the cover. And we are fishing, it's a stained body of water, but it's got some clarity to it as well. It's kind of that coffee color tannic stain that we have here in a lot of Wisconsin lakes. So I'm excited. We don't have a whole lot of time because I got to make a pretty good drive back to pick the boys up, and let's see if we can catch a few on this. I'll give you some pointers as to how I like to fish it, and I'm excited. Hopefully it's a good lake. Let's check it out. There's one. That's big, whatever it is. Holy cow, that is a big bass. Look at that one. Come here. Look at that one. Holy cow. That's the biggest largemouth I caught all year in Wisconsin. On the Circuit Shaker Pro with the Berkeley Power Stinger. It might not be the biggest. That's definitely a, let's get that pad out. That's definitely a 4.5. Look at that one. Nice. That's a good first fish. That didn't take long. Just thick feeling. All right. So what I'm doing here, I mean, I've been fishing for, I don't know, 15 minutes maybe. I'm still trying to get a lay of the lake. I'm kind of just beating the bank, but I've got, the whole shoreline is these little dollar pads, but the dollar pads are in inches of water. So my thought is, you know, we're in a drought year, so generally there's probably, you know, 1.5 feet more water, and there'd be plenty of fish. You'd probably be frogging it, but there's nothing. There's just nothing up here other than the pads. I mean, there's stumps and stuff, but it's just super shallow. And we've had a little bit of a cold front. We've had 3 days of rain in a row, which is good for the area, but we've just been so dry, and it was a cooler rain that water temps are right around 64, 65, which is still really warm for this time of year, but it's cool. You know, a week ago it was probably 75, so it's definitely dropped. I just don't think the fish are going to be up here. It's too shallow. So my thought was with this, and I haven't done it long, was I'm gonna get on the edge of these pads because it drops off. The pads are dropping off right into, you know, the pads come out and they drop off probably 3 feet, and they drop right off into like 6. And there's, so far I haven't really seen any submerged grass or anything. It's might be one of those lakes where it's so dark it just you know, that you just don't get much grass growth. But so I figured I would run the edge of this for a little bit. There's some really defined, from what I've seen, the little bit I've seen so far, there's some really defined little ditches and like really nice little points, like this point right here. And this time of year, I don't know why these fish wouldn't be setting up on some of these little points You know, and there's stumps everywhere. Not everywhere, but I mean, there's definitely stumps in the lake. So it's one of those things where I feel like I just got to get a feel for the lake, and throwing a vibrating jig like the circuit shaker allows me to really cover water well. With those titanium weed guards, you know, I've bumped several stumps with it, and it kind of lets me fish it like a jig at the same time. If I do come across a stump or a laydown along this pad line, I can flip it in there and see if I can trigger one to strike that's maybe a little bit too lethargic and doesn't want to chase. But right now I'm gonna run a little bit of these pad lines just to see. I mean, the lake is not a deep lake. You know, there's some deeper water in it, but the majority of these fish I think are going to be shallower. Oh gosh, dang it, that was a bite right on that tip of the pads, right where he should have been. I kind of feel like it's going to be full of pike in here. Like, just feels like a Wisconsin pike lake. But sometimes you run into that in northern Wisconsin, you get into these lakes that are just chock full of pike. But the first bite was a 4.5 pound largemouth, so that's a good start. Hopefully we can get a few more. It's definitely a lake that, I mean, I haven't seen a house on it. There might be one over there, but undeveloped. Nice drive north with the leaves changing. I am not complaining. This is we got like a month of fishing left around here, so anything I can do to get out is going to be nice before we freeze up. But we're going to keep throwing the circuit shaker around and see if we can find a few more big fish. It'd be awesome to get into them, find a nice little section. This time of year, a lot of times they can get pretty grouped up. So maybe, just maybe, we'll run into them. There should be a fish here. We've had big, long straightaway. I mean, about as straight as you can get on pads. And then there's a little creek ditch that comes in right here. If I were a betting man, I would say somewhere in this ditch we should get a bite. Now, whether that happens or not, I don't know, but generally speaking, you're looking for those irregularities, and for that ditch to be coming through the pads right there, you know it's a little deeper, and that creates a little feeding opportunity. It's that irregularity upon this giant pad flat, and that's generally what you're looking for. I mean, if I were fishing a tournament, I wouldn't even fish this flat unless I was getting bit in the key pieces like this. If I came through here and saw this, I would fish it, and if I got a bite right in the ditch, I would probably fish a little bit of pads and see if there were more fish in the area, because sometimes what you'll have is you'll have a primary spot that the fish relate to, and that could be this ditch, and then when they feed, they'll move up on the flat in both directions, which again, you're fishing for more spread out fish. But if there's a lot of fish that are using this, it could definitely be worth your time, where maybe you pull up, you catch 3 fish in this ditch, and you catch 1 fish, you know, up in the pads on both sides. But there's definitely some form of irregular, you know, ditch or bottom content right here that would tell me there should be a fish here. Now, like I said, we may or may not, but this is just the most prime looking spot. The one bite we had was on a little tiny bit of an inside ditch. There was a little inside bend, and he was sitting right kind of where that little bit of a ditch would have come into that bend. But this just looks juicy, juicy, juicy. It's the type of thing too where you could have a group of them sitting here, and you just got to trigger that one fish to go. The other thing I'm hearing is a whole pile of bluegill popping at the tops of the pads, so that's generally a good thing too. That means there's a lot of food right here. I don't know if you can hear that. A lot of bluegills popping though. I would have thought we would have got one right here. Nice one. Nice one. And I gotta tell you, the only reason I'm able to get that is because this is the heavy cover titanium guard model. Those two titanium guards, I don't know if you saw it, but it's a 2.5 pounder. I threw up over that big branch and kind of just pulled it up. You know, the only reason I was able to catch that fish up there is because I'm throwing the heavy cover titanium wire model. You know, I'm actually able to go up and down this bank. You know, it's got some nice wood on it. This is one of the first stretches I've seen that's not full of pads. And I can go down it and skip this bait up into some of these brush piles and under some of these trees and fish it in areas that I normally wouldn't be able to fish a vibrating jig. It's just, it's not necessarily as weedless as, say, a jig, but it's definitely weedless enough to allow you to bring it through some of these areas that you for sure could not fish a traditional vibrating jig. That's one of the things I love about this. You know, you can kind of just put it on and go down the bank fishing whatever comes in your way, whether it's a log or a grass. You know, the bait's got a really cool V shape on the head too that allows you to come through weed cover. I'll show it to you. So it's got this curved V shape, and really what happens is that head comes through and just bops off the cover and pushes the weeds apart and allows the bait to come through so much more clean. It's a really nice you know, a really nice design that you don't get with your typical vibrating jigs. So, you know, it kind of lets you fish it through a little bit heavier cover, come through it. I mean, you can see I'm coming through that and pads at the same time. And it's just one of those things that gives me an opportunity to put my bait where others can't, and at the same time it allows me to be just that much more efficient on the water. And that's what I'm all about, efficiency. The more casts I can make that are effective, good casts, the more fish I'm gonna catch as I pound into a stump. So let's see, we got another kind of clean bank coming up. Maybe we can catch another one here. Ooh, that's a good one. Golly. That is another nice fish. Come here. Look at that one. That's another 4-pounder. Again, I was able to throw this circuit shaker pro right up into that wood. That's where that fish was at. I mean, that's another good quality fish. Right there, look at that. Another 4 plus. Nice healthy fish. Let's get you back again. Little bare bank stretch. Maybe that's the deal. Little guy, not a giant, but we'll take him. 14-incher. I'm fishing this, you know, a little bit, I don't want to say unconventional, but it is a little bit different. I mean, I'm fishing it where I've got all these little branches and everything, so I can't necessarily be jerking it all over the place like, you know, like we like to fish vibrating jigs. Really what I'm doing is when I throw it up around some wood like that, I'm just kind of feathering it through there, because if I can keep it feathering through there, my chance of coming through is, you know, much better from a clean standpoint. And if I really start pulling on it hard, what's going to happen is the little titanium wire guards will, you know, bury in, or not prevent, I should say, the bait from getting snagged. If I feather it through, the titanium guards are plenty to get it to come through there weedless or without getting snagged up. So I'm kind of feathering it, and then when I get it in the open, or if I'm going down those pad lines, that's where I start fishing it a little bit more traditional, where I kind of you know, just imparting some action, stop and go, reeling it a little faster, just getting the bait to dart all over the place. So I'm doing a mix. You know, there's a lot of wood right here, and if I were just to bomb away at it all and start really hitting it hard like a lot of people fish vibrating jigs, I'd be snagged even with the guard. But right now I'm kind of feathering it like a jig and fishing it like a vibrating jig when I can. And I'm just fishing it. Oh God, that was a bite. I'm fishing it on my traditional vibrating jig gear. I've got it just here on a, I'm throwing a CB 906. I think this is a little one. CB 906 MHX blank. It was a blended 7.5 footer. And then I do like to throw my chatterbaits on faster retrieve gear ratio reels. So this is a Abu Garcia Xenon 8.3 to 1. And the reason I like that is it allows me to pick up speed if I need to. And a lot of times when I'm fishing a vibrating jig, I am covering water. And if I'm fishing like one of those pad lines where I'm going straight, if I'm casting up and I'm going up towards it with the boat, what's happening is, you know, I'm not getting my bait to move as fast as I'd like if I were using a slower gear ratio reel. So I like the fast one because it allows me to really pick up line as I'm working my bait towards it. But at the same time, a lot of these fish hit it and they naturally come at you. So your faster gear ratio reel lets you pick up line. And if I really want to slow down, I can slow down. I mean, that's something I can just slow down and do it. You just gotta be mentally aware of it. But generally speaking, I prefer to throw a higher gear ratio reel, and then I can adjust if needed. Well guys, I hope you learned a few tips today. Maybe picked up a new bait. Check out the Picasso Circuit Shaker Pro with the titanium guards on it. The Berkeley Power Stinger. In my opinion, the best vibrating jig trailer. And I'm gonna call it quits right there. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned, new video coming out tomorrow.